See, I got here right on time, and it's 10 of, and he was worried about me being late.
I'm really sorry, man.
I don't think so. Welcome everybody, I'm Mitch Bryars, and I usually do sessions once a month on the watch and iOS and the phone and the iPad. I have a couple things I wanted to mention before I get going. One was sort of a funny story. We had a member, I don't want to mention the member's name, who just got an Apple Watch. And it was interesting, this person got the smaller one rather than the bigger one because they were told at the store wrist was a little small and that the readings on the heart rate and so on wouldn't be as accurate on a smaller wrist with the bigger watch. I thought that was interesting. But this particular person went to start up the watch, and it started talking. It was all in Chinese, and it started talking in Chinese to this individual, and so the individual called Apple, and after some troubleshooting, they were able to get it paired and get it going. But I hadn't heard of anybody getting one out of the box, and it started talking Chinese. Anyhow, I thought that was pretty funny. The other thing is, we have a member who happens to be my neighbor. Can I mention you? Dennis, right here. He comes religiously to the meetings, and helped him get a computer earlier this year, and he got the new MacBook Air. Got it from B&H in New York. Did you get it from B&H? Yep. B&H, for whatever reason, still does not charge sales tax. And they charge nothing for shipping, and that's a big savings. B&H Photography. They handle all the computers. They handle the iPads. They do not handle phones. And I don't know that I've seen the iPods on there either. But they do handle the iPads. And I bought iPads from them before, and they do handle the computers, which I bought from them before, because the time you don't pay the sales tax and the shipping, you save enough to almost cover your Apple Care costs.
And they're a very reputable retailer.
Exactly. Yes.
8-bit in Chicago does the same thing.
Which one?
8-bit
8-bit.
in
Okay.
Chicago, no shipping, no tax.
No tax.
So I
Yeah.
bought 3 computers on
Luggage.com up in Wisconsin or Milwaukee is it? I think it's Milwaukee. Same thing on luggage. I don't know how those people are getting away with that since they went to the Supreme Court and they said that people had to start paying sales tax, but so far they are. So anyhow, Dennis and I are setting up his machine, and one of the things I suggested to him is he needed to go to Costco and get a hard drive so that he could we could partition the hard drive and he could do Time Machine on half of it and do Super Duper on the other half. And he said, "What are those?" And I said, "Well, here's what they are." And I told him. How many in here use Super Duper? Okay. So we're doing this, and when we got done doing those backups successfully, I said, "Now I want to show you, even though if anything happens, I know you're going to call me immediately, but I want to show you how to start up from this external drive. You just hold down the option key and restart your computer. When the Apple comes up, you let up the option key, and the drives will come across the bottom, and you pick the external drive. And we'll go ahead and boot from that one time." So I went to do that, and all of a sudden I get this message. This computer cannot boot from an external drive. So I started troubleshooting that, went into settings and looked at the drives there, and it was listed. And as soon as you hit it, it said this computer cannot boot from an external drive. So Googled it, didn't find anything, found some things that weren't working. Called Apple, ultimately ended up with a senior advisor, and this is what they told me, and I took a picture of it because I thought it would be of interest to the group.
Mitch, are you willing to do that for everybody here today, in case they need help?
Well, how much did you pay me, Dennis? $500? You can sign up right after the meeting. Yes.
Are we talking about an iMac here?
iMac, yes, iMac. So, yeah, we haven't gotten to the phone yet. So what they told me to do is they said, go ahead and do Command R and start the computer up. And then the guy gave me some bad instructions, but the senior advisor gave me the correct instructions. There's a menu at the top, and you don't hit on the apple to get the preferences. You just keep on looking at that menu, and over about 3 or 4 items is an item called Utility. You hit on that utility item, and this screen pops up. And you'll notice there at the bottom, by default, it's on disallow booting from an external media. Okay? All you need to do is check allow, restart the computer, and you're set to go. They put this in starting sometime in 2018 on new computers. I texted this to, so I finally found this on the internet. It was hard to find because not a lot of people know this.
Can you send that out?
Yeah, I'll send it out. So I finally did find it on the internet, and so made this photo up and put some notes at the bottom. And I sent this out to Dennis and Giacomo and to Jeff and said, hey, I ran into this problem, you might want to know about this. Dennis, I just did that this morning. Dennis immediately got back to me. He said, Apple has made numerous security changes in the last year that that will cause us problems in what we're used to doing. And this was one of them. Don't know what all the other ones are. And anybody else heard about this? Yes.
But the default is disallow, not allow.
The default is disallow.
So if you have a failure, how do you correct it?
You have to go in.
You have to go in and you have to check that box, and then you can.
But you can go in after you've had a failure?
Well, if you've had a failure, you're probably not going to be able to get in. That's why you need to change this right away. I think it's only, the way the guy at Apple talked about it, it's something to do with the chip that they put in, and it's only on from 2018 forward. So if you have an older machine, I'd suggest you try and see if you can select your drive, because as soon as you select the drive, you get the error message. As long as you can select the drive, you're fine. If you can't select the drive, you need to go through this procedure. So I will post this particular slide in the notes for today. Okay.
And you brought up a good point. As a matter of fact, I will call Dennis probably within the next day or so, because he's agreed to do a meeting, I think in May.
Yes.
And at that meeting, I'll ask Dennis to bring us up to date with the changes that Apple has made that you are referring to.
Yeah, because as soon as he said, his text to me specifically said that there were several security changes that they have made that will affect things that we normally did in the past. And this was one of them. And I didn't ask him anymore because I had to get over here and be on time.
So you can hurry and wait.
Okay, so I will post this.
Mitch,
Yes.
this is not a criticism, just curiosity, but I wonder about the wisdom of having both Super Duper and Time Machine on the same drive. What's the reason why you don't have them separately? So they're kind of different.
Because
animals.
Dennis only wanted to buy one drive.
Oh, okay.
Now, since
I
then,
get it.
since then, I think Dennis is thinking about buying a second drive, and we'll have both of them on the second drive too.
Oh, okay. I
Okay?
get it.
Which is what I think Marty recommended to have, at least two.
I use Super Duper.
Oh, you don't use Super Duper, that's right, okay. You use something else. Yeah. Okay, so the other thing, while I've got these photos up, I want to go over is, that I've done in the past, but I wanted to go over them again, was the, my favorite watch faces.
While you're setting up, could I ask an iTunes question to Jim Corsica?
Yes.
Suppose, okay, you do a playlist, right? And so you got it all arranged, you took a lot of time, but suppose then you, at some time later, want to play it, arrange it by a different thing, like
We did lose
the date played, or an artist, or whatever. Is there any way to get back to your original one easily, without going through the library and finding the file and copying it somewhere?
Here, you got something now.
The recreation of playlists is not an elementary thing to do. Everything I've read about it says, when, for example, when you time machine your iTunes, all the music is on, and I just did this last week. I don't know if you remember the conversation last week about time machining iTunes when it's on an external drive. So when I went home, I took Jerry's suggestion and eliminated it as an exclusion. That's double negative. But anyway, I checked it later, and all of my iTunes music is on Time Machine. But the playlist, you have to go into a different file, and you can retrieve an older playlist. I have never done it, and I haven't tried to do it yet, and it does not sound elemental, but it can be done.
Yeah, that's why I'm not cool. I figured it was.
Do you have Time Machine backing up your iTunes?
Yeah.
Okay. Then it's there, like many of the things, and it's also possible that you cannot recreate an individual playlist. You may be able to recreate the playlist, all the playlists from a certain date.
Right. So I guess, Jim, the easiest thing would be now that I think of it, copy the playlist, rename it,
Yes.
and then just fool with the copy.
Sometimes in transferring music from my laptop to my iPhone, if I've even made a slight change, like just in the artwork, the iPhone will register it as a new playlist. And say it's I don't know, say it's named Rock and Roll. Then the new playlist will be Rock and Roll 1. And all of a sudden I have two playlists that have identical content, but they may be in a different order, they may have slightly different artwork. So, but I think your idea of saving, if you think you're going to use the playlist in the future, save it under a different name.
Thank you. The other thing, on Jim's class the other day, we talked about the Apple external CD drive, and I said that I bought a $25 one, and I've neglected to post. I haven't used it much. I would never recommend it as your only external drive, but it did work. I was able to load TurboTax on one computer. It didn't load on the other. I don't know if that was the fault of the drive, but I was able to play music CDs, and it's pretty cheaply made, but it's only $25. I would recommend it, if you wanted to take one traveling or something like that, you didn't want to take your $80 Apple ones, it worked. Okay.
Okay, so here we go. I want to show these, I've showed them before. These are sort of, there's 1,000 different watch faces you can make. How many people here have the watch? Okay, how many people are thinking about getting a watch? Okay, good. Don't think too long, just go out and get it. This is one that I like quite a bit. It shows, of course, that the temperature, the time, the date that's important when you're retired, because every day is Saturday except Sunday. The date, it shows a stock. You can select whichever stock you want. Shows the battery, shows your loops for exercise and activity and so on. That used to be my favorite. Now this one is my favorite. And the thing I like about this one is the text. So if I get a text, I get a haptic I always keep my watch on silent. I get a haptic tingle, and then I look, and it'll say 1, and I just hit the text button, and the text comes up. I like that quite a bit. And I actually wanted that on a couple other different screen formats that you can choose from. And what I found is that these different things, which are called, what are they called, George? Complications. Not all complications will work on every screen type. So, you know, the one that they advertise all the time that has, it's really fancy and it's got all kinds of complications on it, you can't get text. And you can't get the phone. Well, that makes it worthless to me. Now, the other one that I don't know if I took a picture of the other one. The other one that I liked, that I read an article about, was Siri, the Siri watch face. Well, they've got a complication for Siri. You just hit the button, Siri comes right on. You can't do that on this particular watch face when you customize it. It's not there. There's a choice. Yes?
The text icon means you can receive text, but this may be a silly question. Can you send text
Yes.
through your watch?
Yes.
Yeah, voice, yeah.
Yeah.
Just through voice though, not,
Yeah.
because all I see is stop responses.
No, well, no, you can do voice. You
You
can
can
do
do voice,
you can
okay.
do
A
voice.
bunch of
You can
canned
see it.
messages too.
You can what?
A bunch of canned messages like yes, no, can't talk now.
You can also do the written stuff, but I never do that. I mean, you can, you know, if you do not N-O-T, it'll put not right there. I never do that. It's just too much to do
Kind of
all that.
sausage fingers, try to do that on an Apple
Yeah,
Watch.
yeah. But I really do like the text feature. The other one I have is the same. It's similar. It has a couple different things that I just wanted to be able to swipe my watch and get to. And one is the phone. The other one is the recorder app that I bought. The other one is the ECG that's right there. And then this is drafts, but it could be any other thing too. I wanted to make it Siri, and that's when I found out that I couldn't do that on this particular watch face. So those are my 3 favorite ones. I don't particularly care for the ones that are real fancy, that give you 1 or 2 things, or Mickey Mouse or whatever, because it just doesn't give me enough information. And I find myself wanting a lot of information. Okay. Now there's one other thing, and I don't know if anybody's heard of this, but I need to switch to the phone, so let me just do that real quick. I notice as long as you're sitting here, everything works just fine.
Good karma.
I need to, the group needs a human resource manager to deal with all these personalities.
Okay, so here's the iPhone, and so in the control center, and the way you get to the control center is you swipe down to the top here, which I'm going to do right now, and you can add a lot of things down here, and I added 3. I was reviewing an article the other day for this meeting, and I added 3 that I thought were interesting. The first one is this one where you can, if you hit on that and you see one of those bars or QR codes, it will put it in right away. So it's a shortcut really to get to the QR code. And what it does is it immediately turns your camera on, immediately turns the flashlight on, and you just hit it and it'll show right up on the screen. Okay? I'm going to skip this one for a second. This one is a magnifier, a quick magnifier. So if I hit on that, it'll magnify, you know.
I would appreciate
And
that.
then, I mean, then I can really magnify.
All right. Anybody else want to take my place?
You're gonna start.
All right, so,
No wonder your wife can't stand you.
Take a picture, can you even magnify that?
so that's a quick way to do a magnifier, like if you're, because, I think the flashlight comes on, or you can turn the flashlight on. Yeah, you can turn it on right here. Right there. So if you're in a restaurant reading a menu or something, which a lot of us older folks have trouble seeing sometimes, you can just do this and you can zoom right in on what it is you want to select or read about.
Yeah, my wife and I had a big fight the other night because I turned my lamp off and she came out of the bathroom and she couldn't see where she was going. So I said, take your iPhone with you. And she said, well, leave the lamp on.
That's, I had that same discussion, it's identical discussion, just the other day.
Now the flashlight doesn't
Oh, he
work.
has nightlights everywhere.
Okay, the last one of these things that I didn't know about was this hearing aid thing, right here at the bottom. Can't get it to work,
This is
but,
the wrong group to
yeah, I know. It's supposed to work with your iPods.
Here.
So, AirPods. So when you hit on it though, here's what happens. And I get this message at home and I get it here. It says unable to connect with the current router. So I think it doesn't like something with, is it Comcast here too?
I'm not sure.
Okay. But it does the same thing, yes.
I had that, and if you disconnect it from your Bluetooth and reconnect it, then that message goes away.
Ah, okay. So what you're supposed to do, that's good to know, thank you very much. So what you're saying...
This is really a great feature, by the way, that he's talking about.
Have you tried it?
No, but I've read about it, and I'm going to try it.
Okay. Good. So Bluetooth, so we'll just turn, I need to turn off Bluetooth altogether or just for the device?
Disconnect that with the AirPod.
Just the AirPods, okay, so just the AirPods. The AirPods are actually not connected.
That James Bond one, would that be the one?
That's the one, but it's not connected.
Incidentally, for those of us with hearing aids,
Forget this
that
device.
same thing lets us control our hearing aids.
On hearing aids.
Yeah, you can control your hearing aids on your iPad or your iPhone,
That is if it's Bluetooth.
if you have the...
Okay, so now,
If your hearing aid is Bluetooth compatible.
now I have to connect these again, so I have to... But they just popped right up.
Open the case.
Ah, here we go, connect. Hold button.
Ed, will you make sure you're at every meeting?
Just take
Don't go home this year.
Take over for me, done. Now you're saying when I go back in here it should work. Okay, that's on, yep. Okay, so. Not working.
Okay, it worked for me.
What if I have to have them out of the case? Probably. And in. Still, I can't get it to work. I'll have to troubleshoot that, but you say, going through the procedure I just went through, it worked for you.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
I looked it up, I found it someplace.
Well, I can't get it to work so far, but it certainly is a nice feature because apparently what it does is it turns these into like hearing aids where you can hear, no, I'm sure not as good as a regular hearing aid, but you can hear a lot. Huh? Yeah, not quite as expensive, that's exactly right.
Yeah, $259 versus 3,000.
Yes,
Mitch, Dick Shapiro, how do you add these features?
okay, good point. So you go to settings right down here, okay? And you go to
Bluetooth.
control center, controls, where is it? Oh, control center right here, okay? And customize controls.
Ah,
And hit on that, and these will all come up, and the ones that are included are listed first. And you can change the order. So if I want the magnifier to be up here, I can put it up there. And then the ones that I haven't included are down here. So if I want to add, let's say I want to add voice memos. Okay, see now it's up here. Okay, so now I get out of there, and now when I pull down, voice memos is right there. Okay, and the magnifier is up here where I put it. Any questions about that? And that's all you can select is what's in that area. You can't say, oh, well, you know, I want something else that's not there. It's limited right now to what, and it's a pretty good selection.
Can you put them all on? Is there
Yes,
room?
you can put them all on. You can just keep on going down the page. I'm pretty sure you can put them all on. You can try real quick. No?
That's what I'm thinking.
Marilyn,
But
Yeah.
it's smaller and smaller.
you know the end, can they be all put on?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
I thought
So
so.
that's the final word.
That's the final word.
That information is in the notes from the first class, iOS class.
Okay.
That's part of the reason you can't miss a class, because all this great information is all available.
You want me to turn on the magnifier again? All right.
I move.
All right. So the other thing while I'm on this page is if you swipe down from this side, you get your notifications. And we can take a look at this real quick. Here's one I got today from YouTube, something I'm following there. But here's Manafort. But you'll notice that there's 28 more notifications here. Okay? And to open those up, you just hit on that, and then you can just scroll down and you can see them all. Okay? You can delete them individually, or you can go up here and you can just hit the X right, and you can show less. It'll come right back up and stack them, and then I can hit the X and I can clear them. And it clears everything. Any questions about that? Okay. So, this is a Q&A session. We've got some time. Do you have other questions about iPhone or iPad? Yes.
Hi, my name is Mary Ann. This is about the Notes app.
Yes.
I was going to make some comments about a numbered list that I had. I started with number 5, period, said whatever, like put on your helmet, 6, check your brakes, and then I wanted to make a comment. When I pressed return, it automatically put in the next number instead of letting me write a paragraph.
That's what it does.
Okay, part 2 is when I emailed it to someone, it changed the number 5, number 6 to 1, 2.
So it went 1, 2, 3.
Yes,
then
it
1,
changed
2.
the numbers that I had put in the notes to 1, 2, 3.
I've never heard of that before. Anybody else on that one?
It worked on
Marilyn?
sending it to a PC and to an Apple.
So you, no, I'm sorry, I don't want.
Okay, the
No,
note
go ahead.
reads 5, period, put on your helmet, 6, period, check your brakes. And then if I want, it didn't, if I press return, it would say 7, but I didn't want to say 7.
Right. And what
Is there any way to, question number 1, is there any way to just say, to disable it making numbers if I press return?
No, it'll make numbers.
As long as you started
I
with one
think-
period?
As long as you
But
start.
a
with one.
workaround would be to write everything you want to write without the numbers, and then when you're all done, go back and add the numbers
Yeah.
last.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good
That
idea.
that works better.
Right.
That you have the same problem in Pages also sometimes. You're not talking about checklists, you're just talking about straight typing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, because it likes to give you the numbers, but then if you change a space or you do some other action, then it doesn't like that.
okay.
So that's what I have been doing lately in Pages. When I type, I put everything in and then I go back and put the numbers.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And then the second oddity was just that when I emailed that, the note to an Outlook account and to an Apple account, it changed the numbers to 1, 2, 3.
Was there a 1, 2, 3 above? the-
No, it was, the note said number 5, number 6.
Oh, it didn't say, so it didn't see a 1, 2, 3, so it just it started with 1,
Yeah,
2.
that's just curious.
Yeah, I had.
But I'll try that.
You know, I know that I used that at one time quite a bit, and I was having problems with it too.
Okay.
Some of the same sort of frustrating things, and I sort of had to figure it out forever. So I don't use it. I think a good idea is what you
Yeah.
said.
You know, there's, might be another thing. Remember back in the days of Lotus 1, 2, 3?
No.
And well, anyway, you had a column of numbers, but you wanted to treat them like text. For some reason, you wanted to format them or something. If you put an apostrophe first and then put the number, it thinks it's dealing with text. It doesn't think it's a number.
Mm.
So you have to figure out how to fool your system.
You know, there's probably an app out there that'll allow you to do everything
Another app.
that you're talking about.
Yeah.
Marilyn, do you have the app yet? It's probably a $25 app.
Yeah. Trying to see if I have any like that.
Because somebody's figured out that they, you know, and has probably made an app out of
There's
it.
probably a way to do that correctly. If you move anything from Apple to Microsoft, sometimes it'll change things. And I'm sure there's a way to do that numbering that you don't mess up the plan, but it usually keeps working if you don't do anything different. But as soon as you do something different, then it gets mixed up. So you got to know a little bit more about how Pages numbers or how the notes do numbers.
We encourage our members not to have PC friends.
What if you're married?
They're strange. No, I got one that I'm married to also.
Could you screenshot it? And that way it wouldn't, then it's
Yes.
an image instead of an actual file, as long as they don't need to edit.
Okay. Yes.
My name's Glenn White. I've lost my mini 1Password icon on my Mac Pro in the upper bar. How can I find it?
You lost which passcode?
My mini 1Password.
Your
The 1Password icon.
The 1Password
Safari
icon?
bar.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I forget what I set right up, but it's the Safari extensions, I think, is it?
Yeah, Safari extensions, you have to go back in Safari and go over to the right and like preferences, I think it is, or in that area, and hit extensions. Yeah, Jerry?
There are two mini, one is in the Safari menu bar next to the URL. The other will be in the actual menu bar. The one in the actual menu bar, you go into 1Password preferences, and that's where you tell it to go up into the menu bar or not.
Oh, okay.
Now, the one that's next to the URL, I have had it disappear on me regularly. And what I have to do is actually download a new fresh copy of 1Password 7 in order for it to reappear. And they have not figured out what it is, but they think there's some program going through, running in my computer that is throwing out files. But,
I've had mine disappear, but not that frequently.
no, mine disappears about every 4 weeks.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, this is a very basic question. I'm using just the iPhone 7 Plus, but I keep the iOS up to date. When I type a message, is there some way to have a new paragraph? Because when I hit return to get a new paragraph, it sends it.
Yeah.
I mean, when I dictate, I can just say new paragraph. I mean, that's a stupid question, but it's sort of,
You mean when you're doing a text,
on my iPhone, if I'm typing in a text, so like I'm not interrupting, you know, a meeting or something. And I want a new paragraph. If I hit return, it sends the message. How do I get a new
On your
paragraph?
phone it does?
On my iPhone, yeah.
on your iPhone, it sends the message
When I hit return,
on a text?
yeah. When I'm
She's
typing
right.
it in.
Yes.
Right.
I don't find that. On the Mac, you have to use option return to create, otherwise it sends if you're doing it on the Mac.
Oh, maybe
But on
it's.
my iPhone, I always am able to hit return and create a paragraph.
I'm not having that problem.
Maybe I generally. tend
Here,
to-
let me get in here and mirror this thing, and I'll show you what I just did. Okay, so if we go to, here's a message that I'm doing right now.
Maybe
I don't have the two filled in, so it can't send it. Maybe that's the problem. If I go here like this, and then I'm gonna hit the return, right here, I'm gonna hit this.
That's
I'm sorry, this, return. Return.
Now put
Okay,
in an
maybe
address and try
I
it.
usually try to do them on my MacBook Pro, so maybe I'm thinking the wrong thing. But I tend to send my messages accidentally. Okay.
On the Mac, you hit option key and then return.
Option return, okay.
Option return.
I never text from my Mac, so.
So if you hit option return, it'll give you a paragraph.
Yeah.
To get a new
Okay.
paragraph.
Because I have exactly the problem she's talking about.
On a
And I
Mac.
didn't know about the option return.
Okay.
And that's true also in, back to if you're doing bulleted sentences, paragraphs,
Yeah.
the option key lets you create a new line without a new dot and a new number being generated.
Well, that kind of information that we just got is terrific. Because I'm always going nuts with numbers or dots, and I want to like put some information in, and if you click return, it takes you to the next dot or the next one.
Hold the option key down and hit return.
Good. So just hold the option key down.
Option return.
That's great information.
Whatever
Yes.
the far left or whatever the far left, that's how, maybe it's a control.
Yes.
Malware. Mac users, it's wonderful, no viruses, no malware. That's not true. And I picked up a bad piece of malware last week. Couldn't figure out how to get it off. What it did, it's called We Know, KNOW, .ac. And it throws you out of your browser into some anonymous browser, and then it starts taking you to all these different, mostly selling sites. And so they're getting more views and reaping more money, and your computer is performing very poorly because it's very hard to get into Chrome or Safari. You can't do that. You have a hard time getting into Google even. They throw you into Bing and other obscure searches. So I couldn't get it off, and it was the weekend, and the Apple Store doesn't exist anymore up by Pelican Bay, so I went to the bike shop, and they said they got it off, and it came back on yesterday. And now I'm,
You have malware bikes?
That's what I was gonna say, Mel.
well, I was wondering if there is an antivirus or an anti-malware program, and this little box popped up, but since I picked it up the first time by falling for something called an upgrade to Adobe Flash, and that's how I picked it up the first time through, I am very hesitant to download any other things that are being offered to me on my screen.
Well,
and
yeah, I
so-
thought you meant just virus.
No, it's
There's
malware.
one that Apple recommends, and it's the one that something
What is it?
malware bites.
Yeah, Mel, yeah.
What's all this
malware,
word?
BYTES, they have a free
Bytes,
version,
B-Y-T-E-S.
but the paid version is working.
I use the free version. Do you find a big difference in the paid version?
I don't know. I have never gotten something that they thought was a problem, so.
When I
But
took it
I
in,
never click on any of the Adobe, you get those pop-ups all the time. The only way I update the Adobe Flash is through system preferences. And I've selected to have them do it automatically. I know Jerry doesn't like that, but I've selected have Adobe automatically update. And every time I've checked for updates, it's always
up to date.
current, and I've never had a problem. But yeah, I don't ever click on those things that tell you the Adobe needs an update.
Well, what I usually do in that circumstance is I immediately shut down my machine. I started it up from the external drive, which was done before I got that stuff on there. And then I copy the external drive onto my drive, problem solved.
I don't have the external drive set up yet, though, so
You got to, you
Jerry?
don't have backup?
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Make sure you take that class the week after Maryland's. It's going to be on security and backup.
Jerry?
Regarding the Adobe, or the software, I agree with Don, never click on the software that says Adobe Reader needs to be updated. Go to System Preferences, and then there is the reader, and that will check, if, like Don is doing, you have it automatically, you'll find you never have to update. Those are all dangerous.
Yeah, as it turns out.
Yeah.
The fellow at the bike shop said he's seen lots of these coming in the last couple of weeks, so this is out there.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, George, can you demonstrate how to do that? Because most people don't know how to do that. System preferences.
What's that?
When you go to system preferences
Sure.
on the Mac.
Sure.
You want me to do that?
Go ahead.
I had asked permission. You go to System Preferences,
Go down to Flash Player.
and right here. And that's where you update it.
You might have to select updates, because that's not the, if you've never clicked it, I don't think it
You gotta
defaults.
click on Updates, and that's where you get to it.
You go to
That's
check-
the only place to ever mess around with Flash.
Yeah, click
Don't
check.
ever do anything else.
Click the check now and see what it, it'll come up and say that it's current. Need no new updates.
That's the only place. Don't ever allow yourself to react to a pop-up.
George, I got 2 notices that pop-up notices, and I went to System Preferences, and it said I didn't need any updates.
Right. I mean, I get that all the
That's
time.
usually the case.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's somebody trying to get you to do something bad.
Somebody else had a question? Yes.
I was just going to comment on Malwarebytes. If you take the free Malwarebytes, you can check your computer all the time, but you have to manually check it. If you buy the premium, it's ongoing checking.
And is that a software from a third party, or is that in the
Yeah,
App Store?
It's sort of software from the
And how much does it cost?
I bought it a long time ago. I don't know how much it
I
is now.
forget, the free version is.
Free.
It's free.
Wow.
I think it's $30.
$30.
Yeah, I think that's-
$40.
The reason I prefer the free version is I always think that these things that are running are taking up, taking space and taking up other memory and so forth. But it's up to it's up to each of you individually.
Yes.
I have a question on Siri. When you ask Siri a question, it'll give you sometimes multiple choices, things that it's found.
Yeah.
And you click on one and you go to it and it's not what you need. Is there ever a way to get back to that list without having to ask Siri the question again?
I don't think that there is, 'cause I've
Okay,
had the same
I've
problem.
never found it, and so
No.
it's frustrating.
It is frustrating.
Uh,
Now, speaking of Siri, we had the gal in here. Who was the gal, the organizer gal?
Marla.
Marla. I didn't agree with everything she said, but one of the things I really did take up that she said was using Siri to set reminders. And I've been doing that, and that really works well. I mean, I just, if I do one of these right now, and I just say, hey Siri, remind me to take out the garbage tonight at 5 o'clock.
Okay, I added take out the fridge to your reminders for today at 5 p.m.
Now, didn't like what I said, which is frustrating. It said fridge instead of garbage. And what I find is that you can't edit that.
You'll get arrested.
So you have to remove it and do it again.
But you can't edit it as a reminder, right?
Siri's got a lot in common with my wife.
You can edit it if you put it in reminders. Yeah, if I were to put it in reminders, then go to reminders, then I can edit it.
How do you edit it? What she was doing, and I meant to ask this, she just said, remind me to do something. But when if you do it that way, when does it remind you?
At 5 o'clock.
She didn't give a time. She just said, remind me to do this.
Let me see. Okay. Hey Siri, remind me to take out the garbage.
Okay, I added take out the garbage to your reminders.
So it just shows up. It shows up, but it doesn't ever.
It shows up.
ding you or anything.
It shows up in my reminders, and let me see.
How do you edit it?
Your wife's gonna remind you to take out the garbage.
We forgot to take out the garbage last night. Okay.
I don't even see it here. I can't even find it right now, but.
It's like having another woman.
Oh, it is. It's under, it is there. And I guess what she does is she just looks at the whole list at the end of the day.
Okay.
I always give it a specific time.
Right.
And I have been using it more often, and I find it very convenient.
And how do you edit it?
What's that?
How do you edit it?
Oh, so it didn't pick up garbage, it said fridge. So you would go into the reminder area, and you'd hit on the word and then retype it, which is sort of a pain, but sometimes I've done that, or sometimes I know what it is, I just leave it alone. But it's nice, at 5 o'clock it'll just pop up. It'll pop up on my watch, it'll pop up on my iPad, and it'll pop up right here. And then if none of that works, my wife pops up. Yes.
Back to the magnifier you were talking about.
Yes.
Just, I thought I wanted to point out that when you're looking at something, you hit that white button,
Yeah.
that freezes it. So then you don't have to be focusing on that one thing all the time. It doesn't really take a picture that goes to your photos.
Yeah.
You've got a frozen image of that thing.
Of that thing, yeah. Thank you. Yes.
When you ask Siri to remind you,
Yes.
could you say, Siri, wake me up tomorrow morning at 6 a.m.?
Yes.
How would she do that?
She would go in and set an alarm.
She would actually set the alarm?
Yes.
Yeah, and the next morning, it would,
Okay.
a notification would go off.
Do you have to use the word remind?
You can use alarm. Set alarm for 6 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Or set a timer? Yeah.
Or set a timer for 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Now, we've got a couple more minutes, and
No, I just wanted to add that some people are using the phones and their computers as reminders, like you say Siri or Alexis, which is the competitor of it, to take medication. Remind, you know, if I wasn't in the house and I got a car, I would be reminded of something while I was home.
that is a good idea. I don't do that. I've got another system for that. It's very easy. I got 2 small cups. I make them up every night, and I take 1 cup when I go to bed, and I make 1 cup in the morning, and if that cup's still there at 12 o'clock, then my wife reminds me.
Tell your wife to tell Siri to remind.
Anyhow, but that's another good application.
Could be 911 coming too.
And I have some reminders that are really long term. Like, I've got a reminder in, I think, for next August, because that's when my verbal contract is up with Comcast. And it's in there. And I'll have reminders set for like Sirius Radio. I'll say, when's my contract going to be up? And they'll say this date. And I just put a reminder right then so it pops up. And sometimes I'll put it in the calendar as well. Now, one more thing I wanted to just take a second to go over, and it'll just be a minute because we got to get out of here, is I gotta find it. Is shortcuts. Shortcuts. Shortcuts look like this.
Don't pop it up there.
Okay, shortcuts, the app looks like this, and you download it for free. It's right there. And you can create shortcuts and I watched a couple of videos, there's a lot of videos on YouTube about this. They were sort of confusing to me. But there was an outfit that posted and you could download like 150 different shortcuts. And there are 4 or 5 that I found useful, and I do have them in here. I wanted to create one for audiobooks, and audiobooks is not one that allows you to create a shortcut yet. So certain apps will not, I couldn't get it to work. But like playlist, I selected one of my playlists, so if I hit that, this will come up, and wait a minute. This will come up, and
If you'd been at Marilyn's class last week, you would have known everything you needed to know.
okay. And then anyhow, you,
Hit the arrow on the top.
yeah, okay, there we go. It's not liking the arrow on the top.
You have to go hit done and do it again.
Hit what? Oh, done and do
Hit
it
done
again.
and do it again.
Okay.
You always need to have a nice woman around.
Now, sometimes it will do a little roll around.
No, it's not doing that. Yesterday this played fine. Let's try another one. The other one that I had was, redeem iTunes codes. Every once in a while I buy an iTunes gift card for a discount somewhere, and I'm always going, I know where to go. You go to the bottom of the iTunes page to do it, but this takes you right there.
Sure it does.
Right there. Okay? Use the camera and you're done.
Mitch?
Yes.
I have one that stopped working, and I just took it out of the library and put it back in the gallery.
Right.
And then I took it back out of the gallery and put it back in the library, and it worked.
Okay.
So that's the solution.
And they do sync between devices, and I'll post this this list. Let me just put that up here real quick, and then we're going to be done.
While you're doing that, I do have those in my notes, but the second.
As soon as I stopped the mirroring, the music went on.
Oh, there you go.
That was it.
What were you saying, Marilyn?
Go ahead.
I said that I have notes on that in the second class for iOS. And there also is, if you look at the notes, right toward the end of the notes, the last couple, there is a website you can go to that's very good on how to do that.
Okay. This was an article that I ran into, and I'll post the link to this with that other thing I'm going to put out there. And it's called Short Stories, and it goes down and it gives all these shortcuts that you can just click on, and you can add it to your machine. And that's where I got the ones for Redeem iTunes card. But like if I wanted to do one for, I just picked one right here. get this shortcut. It's going to load it. And then it's going to go get the shortcut. And it's in my library. If I go to my library, it'll be right there. It's the last one in. So there's 150 of them. I only found about 4 or 5 of them that resonated with me, but there's thousands of them you can create. But I found them a little difficult to create. I'm sure they're easy. Have you created any, Marilyn?
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks,